G'day guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Tim, and on today's episode we're taking a look at this area of Bitcoin and we're asking the question whether we are going to go up or down from here based on the evidence. Now it's interesting, I've seen a lot of technical analysis on the internet and it's amazing how two different people can look at the same data and come to completely different conclusions. So most people see, or not most people, but a lot of the TA that I'm seeing on the internet is showing that we're going up. But when I look at the data, I struggle to find the evidence to back that up. And I'm going to put together a case today. And I don't mean to be bearish or ruin the party. I'm just trying to find out the truth, because if we are going down, it will be handy to know. If we're going to continue up, then that's handy to know as well. But I'm going to piece together 5 or 6 different pieces of evidence, and I'll let you decide what you think is the way we're headed. Now, first of all, what I've got on the screen are the 3 cycles, the 3 main cycles, 2013, 2017, and 2021. And you'll see at this same time in each of the cycles, we did go up a similar percentage. So we went up about 57% at this same time in the 2013, 2014 run. In the 2017, 2018 run, we went up about 52, 53%. And now we have gone up about, I'll just get it back on the screen, about 60, 61%. So we're in the ballpark. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but here in this, mid or low to sort of 50 to 60% range, that seems to be consistent across the 3 cycles so far. And it's good to know what happened in previous cycles, because the trend is your friend and it just increases the probability of what may happen next. It's always a guess about what happens next, but if we're following a similar trend, it just increases the probability. So that's Exhibit A. Exhibit B is the volume. So let's have a look. What I've got on here is the monthly volume for Bitcoin. And you can see here, as we reached this peak, you can see the volume was up. In fact, the volume was at its highest in January. So that's the January month. And then in Feb, March, and April, we actually had a bearish divergence. The volume went down as we just made these peaks in April. And then we had the big sell-off period here in May. That was a big red month, or a big high volume month. And since then, the volume has just gone down. So even though we've had a lot of bullish momentum in the last 4 or 5 weeks, the volume has essentially gone down. Now, if I change this to a weekly chart, we can see what the weekly volume looked like. And it basically paints a very similar picture. So you can see here that the volume, let's squeeze it in a bit, the volume was here and then it went down. This is in around the January period. And then we had a lot of volume during this big sell-off. And then since then, the volume is kind of low, and it's been going lower the last 3 weeks in a row. And even the first week wasn't that high a volume. So the volume itself doesn't paint a strong picture either. Another piece of evidence I'd like to, I can't really show you the next piece of evidence, but one thing that we've noticed is that Bitcoin tends to rally first, and then the high cap alts tend to rally, and then the lower cap alts and the meme coins and the NFTs. And we have seen this play out. And in fact, I distinctly remember at this point here, when Bitcoin was just before it capitulated, I distinctly remember that ADA was the last of the high cap alts to really have a pump. And it basically crashed the day after that ADA pumped. And now you'll notice we've just recently had a pump for ADA. So it's basically gone through that entire process of the money flowing from Bitcoin into Ethereum, to the high cap alts, and then some of the lower cap alts, and ADA being one of the last ones. That's played out again. So again, it's a trend, and the trend is your friend. So that's another bit of evidence. Another piece of evidence to look for is the fear and greed index, which you might remember was in extreme fear throughout this period down here. And now we've actually moved into the extreme greed area. And you'll notice if I look at the dates here, we're about at this level here, around just under 80% in terms of extreme greed. And last time we're at these levels was in April, which is when we capitulated and went into the extreme fear. So we're at those similar type of levels. So that's another piece of evidence. What else can I show you? So this is the total monthly volume for crypto in general, and you can see it paints a very similar picture. It's basically going down. So there's a lot of there's various factors here that are all showing confluence. What else? RSI, that's right. So let's have a look at the weekly RSI. Now, I looked at this a couple of weeks ago in one of my videos, but you'll notice this trend. So we had the 2013 peak here, 2017, and then 2021 over here. And look at this ABC correction. And what I've done, I've also put in these dotted lines showing the point here where the RSI bottomed, and then the point here where it came back to with a rally, right in the same area that we've been looking at. And then it did the C correction down here, the ABC. The same thing played out, or something very similar played out in 2017, 2018. So we started in the overbought section. We came down to this dotted line. We rallied. This time we didn't even rally as high. And then we went back down to the C correction down here. And that was in this same section. And now in 2021, we've started here in the overbought section. We've come down to the dotted line. The B is up here. It's starting to turn around. It's too early to call what will happen next, whether we go down or whether we go up. But again, it looks like a very similar pattern to what we've seen in the past. Now, while on this screen, the other thing I'd like to show you is the moving averages. And you can see that in these previous cycles, what we've got here is the 50-week moving average, which is shaded. You can see we come down, we bounce off it, we rally up quite strong, and then we crash through it, the ABC correction. We did that again here, A, B, C. And now, so far, we've gone A, B, and we'll see what happens next. Whether we keep going up or whether we follow the same trend that we've followed in the past. All right, so we've gone through most of those. Okay, Elliott Wave. So this is another indicator. If I go back to the daily chart, this is where it's most obvious. So I'll just get this up like this. Okay, so when we had this original rally, I'll make this bigger. There we go. This here was a really big impulsive wave, and then we had a corrective wave. Now, typically, you'll see that we always go in these kind of 5-wave patterns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little bit rough. You have to kind of interpret it after the fact, but it's very rare for us just to go up and down. And you can see what we've done here, at least on a daily scale. We've gone up A, B, C, D, E. Excuse me, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll draw that in. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That there is a small one. You can, again, it's hard to interpret sometimes, but we have completed that Elliott Wave 5-way theory. And typically what happens on the way down is it usually comes down to that, to where the 4-wave started, something like that. So you could have like an ABC type correction. We'll have to see how that plays out. So I don't want to speculate any further. So that, again, is just some more evidence to show that we may have topped out. And finally, I'd like to have a look at the moving averages again. Let's have a look at, we've got a daily chart here. So, okay, oops. Down here, we've got the shaded area is the 50-day moving average, and the dark blue line that we've got here is the 50-week moving average. And you can see that we were overextended beyond the 50-day moving average by about 29%. Looks like it's just come down a little bit. I'll bring that down to, so we're currently overextended by about 25%. And typically what we've done in every other bull run, and I'll show you this in a second, if this is the moving average, we tend to go above it, and then we go below it, we go above it, below it, until we kind of peter out. And I'll show you that here. So these are all the cycles that we've seen before. The blue shaded area is the 50-day moving average. And you can see that we always do this A, B, C, D, E correction, but we go above it and below it. So above, below, in 2013 peak 2. So above, below, we just kissed it here, below. 2019, again, above, below. 2017, so you can see above, below. And this is a very old picture that I drew a while ago. I was anticipating that we would come up to here. What ended up happening is we ended up coming up to here, and we'll have to see if we might continue to go higher. We might continue to reach the previous all-time highs, and we might continue to go beyond that up to 100K, 200K. That is all possible, and I can't predict the future. But what we've done in every other cycle is at this particular point, assuming that was the cycle top, we've gone above and below it, until we peter out. So we'll see how that plays out as well. So this video has been fairly bearish, I understand that, and other people look at the data and say that it's obvious that we're going up. It's clear. We can have different people looking at this exact same data coming to completely different conclusions. But all the factors I've been looking at today, I've been keeping an eye on over the past couple of months, particularly the 50-day moving average, which whenever we have crashed through it in the past like this is the exact thing that plays out. We go above it and below it until we peter out. That's happened on every single time. So the trend is your friend, and we want to work with probabilities. So apologies for the bearish video, but I just wanted to provide a contrarian view, I guess, to all the other analysis that is occurring out there, just to give everyone something else to think about. But I'm happy to be corrected wrong, and I'm happy if Bitcoin goes up to higher levels from this point. So we'll see how everything plays out over the next couple of weeks. But I hope you enjoyed the content. My name's Tim, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.